Hello, 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 everybody, and welcome to the Mad Church Disease Podcast. How is everybody doing tonight? Hopefully, you guys are doing well. Hopefully, you have been getting some rest, getting home from your workday, possibly getting something good to eat, and hopefully turning on the Mad Church Disease Podcast. Tonight, ladies and gentlemen, we have a very interesting topic. I'm, of course, going to try to be and walk as humbly through this as I possibly can. And I promise you guys, I'm not going to take up too much of your time. If you are new here, or this is the first time that you're finding out about this particular podcast, I'm going to ask you a couple of things tonight. The first thing I'm going to ask you is to give me an opportunity to explain and express to you who I am and what this podcast is about. I'm also going to ask for you to be respectful in my comments. If you can. I know sometimes people just come to these types of programs and they just say whatever comes to their mind and on their mind, and they don't really give, they don't give thought to the people that are coming, that are going to have to read their comments and are going to have to, either delete their comments or block them. But I just want everybody, I'm going to approach this subject with respect, and I'm going to ask you to do the very same thing tonight. So when you are in my chat, please make sure that you're respectful. Moderators, I do not moderate my chat. I have moderators who will moderate the comments. So you need to understand that, if things go awry, the moderators are going to pretty much take care of you. I won't see it because I'm really focused on the content and providing you with a steady flow and a steady, a steady bit of information. Okay. And so that's the first thing that I want to say. First of all, I love every single one of you. Thank y'all for supporting the Mad Church Disease channel, watching all of the videos, coming to the lives. Thank all of you. I really do appreciate it. Tonight is going to be no different. Tonight's going to be very, very interesting for me. First of all, because I had to ask God to help me with this particular episode. I'm going to be totally frank with you. I didn't even really know how to approach this live tonight, because normally I do trending topics and I start talking about all the stuff that's trending in the media. And then I actually had to pray about this one. I was like, okay, Lord, what should I talk about? And you're going to be amazed at how God just dropped something in my spirit about this program today. But tonight we're going to talk about kings and thrones. And we, of course, are going to be dealing with the Joel Tudman and Henry Fernandez and the Faith Center Church situation. I'm also going to touch a little bit on the David E. Taylor and Michelle Brennan situation as well. And that's where we're going to hang our hats on tonight. So this is going to be somewhat of a free-flowing discussion. If you're new to the podcast here, because we have had almost about 400 or 500 new subscribers, about 500 new people to show up and subscribe to the channel over the last couple of days. And so I want you all to understand who we are and what we are about. We are not a church show. We are a show about church. We discuss church-related topics, but we also talk about trending topics and things of that nature as well. And so just understand that. You're going to be met with some things that may challenge you. You're going to be met with some things that may make you think. And that's really the idea here, is to be thinking people and to use our brains and to think. And so that's pretty much what we do here a lot at the Mad Church Disease channel. So shout out to all of you. If you are new here, and as I said, we have a protocol. Let me go through my little protocol here, because at your church, you got protocol. If you're new here and you would like to be caught up to date with all things Mad Church Disease, there'll be a link in the description that you can actually sign up for our email newsletter. The email newsletter will keep you up to date on all of our shows, some of the behind the scenes things that are happening with our channel, etc. I'm working on the email for this month. Hopefully it'll be done by tomorrow and I'll get that out for you guys. I've already typed it up pretty much. I'm just getting down to the last little bit of it. And I'm going to be introducing some new things to the channel, and you guys will find out about that in the email that I'm going to send out tomorrow. Yeah, it'll be coming out to you guys. So you can sign up for our text message club that's coming. We've been talking about it for a while, but it's definitely on its way. So don't worry about that. All right. So that's there as well. If you would like to support the Mad Church Disease channel, the Cash App information is on the screen. This is our flagship night. You all know that I do not go live every day anymore. So it's really important that when we do go live, that you guys support the podcast and support the work that we are doing. For those of you that are here to support, Darlene, I want to thank you so very much for being the very first person tonight to support the Mad Church Disease program. Thank you so very much, and I appreciate your support. So thank you so very much for that. Now I'm not in the other screen, so I don't know whether I was supposed to say names or not. So let me get over there so I'll know what I'm supposed to do. Because some people want you to say the name, some people don't. But let me get on over there, because if I don't know whether you told me to say it or not. Okay, well, there's no note in there, so I think I'm safe. All right, so shout out to all of you guys on tonight. And tonight is going to be an interesting program. All right. So thank y'all for supporting the Mad Church Disease channel. Okay. All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's get into it on tonight. All right. So as I said, I was somewhat, I was really perplexed about this show. Let me tell you why I was perplexed about this show. For those of you that follow me, and you have been following me, and you know about the Church Folk Revolution, and you know about the work that I've done in the past, when I came out with the video where I asked the people to trust their pastor, and I got such a backlash from people, and even though I told people in the truth what was happening and what was going on, I was really somewhat surprised at how much people, just, buffed up against what I said. And, I guess, some of them are mixed with their anger because they don't understand why Joel Tudman is gone. And some of them were just, speculating and saying all sorts of things. I was very honest with you all when I came to you and I told you it is a very simplistic, very simple reason why Joel is gone. I do have sources. I have two sources in this particular situation. And both of those sources have confirmed what is going on, what happened. So I do know what happened. This is not a speculative thing with me. I do know what happened. I'm not going to come out and give you the dirty details of what happened, but I in essence gave you guys the underlining theme of what happened. It is very simple. It's very simple. There are contractual agreements that individuals have to keep and meet. And if you go against the contract, or you do something to go against the contract, you could possibly lose your job, just like you could in the corporate environment, right? Both of these men have made statements. Both of these men have come out and asked the public to let this go, let this rest. Henry started off first, which got Henry a tremendous amount of backlash. I think Henry was doing what he was doing because, of course, he was trying to cover Joel and to be respectful in the process. And then Joel came out and made a statement, and nobody was happy with Joel's statement either. They were just, now everybody's upset and they're picking sides. And Joel even said in his statement, there are no sides to pick. And there really isn't any side to pick in this. They're both pretty decent preachers. They're great, preachers. And so there really isn't any side to pick. So I prayed about this show tonight, which is something normally I don't, I just normally come do the show and ask God, to bless it and be with us, etc. But tonight I struggle with the show tonight, which is something that hasn't happened for me in a very long time. And I said, okay, Lord, what should I talk about? Because at first I was just going to upload another video because I got one in the wing. I was like, I could just upload another video, go to watching a movie. You know what I'm saying? Go, just be done with this whole conversation. So I said, okay, Lord, what should I do? I said, Lord, I'm not really going to go live until you speak to me. I said, and what should I talk about? And the Lord said, Marcellus, I want you to talk about kings and thrones. And I said, huh? Kings and Thrones. And he said, Marcellus, what's your favorite television show that you always love? And I said, I love Game of Thrones. For those of you that know me, I love Game of Thrones. And so this is how the Lord gave it to me. And I'm going to give it to you how the Lord gave it to me. And here we go, ladies and gentlemen. Here we go. Tonight we're going to discuss the Game of Thrones, but we're going to talk about it from the pulpit aspect. We're going to talk about power, politics, and the removal of pastors. Now, I'm going to ask you to put on your thinking caps because I'm going to, again, drop some jewels in this thing for you. I'm going to tell you what's going on without telling you what's going on. Now, you can get mad at me for not spilling the dirty details, but that isn't my job. My job isn't to give you the dirty details. My job is to let you use your thinking cap so that you can understand what's happening. Understand something. I am a vlogger who has done this work for years. Okay. So when I come out here, if I really wanted to be messy, I could come out here and blow the spot up, but that isn't my goal. But if I do that, then I'm gonna mess over my sources. I'm gonna mess over situations, and they're gonna find out who my sources are, because I'm gonna give you details that nobody else can give you details, and then that's gonna mess up my stuff. And I'm not trying to mess up my stuff, okay? But I'm trying to tell the thinking people what is going on without telling you what's going on, okay? So here's how the Lord gave it to me. What happens when church leadership starts to look like the Game of Thrones? Today, we're going to compare the political chess moves of Westeros to real life church dynamics, specifically the removal of Pastor Joel Tudman from the Faith Center under the pastor and pastoral leadership of Henry Fernandez. Now, in my commentary tonight, there will be no dragons, there will be no swords, but plenty of alliances, influence, and consequences. I'm going to say that again. There are no dragons in this commentary. There are no swords in this commentary, but there are plenty of alliances, influence, and consequences. Okay? In the Game of Thrones, power isn't just about the throne itself. And when I'm talking about throne tonight, we're talking about the throne of sitting at the top of the church and pastoral leadership, or being in the place of pastor. That's the throne I'm talking about tonight. In the Game of Thrones, power isn't always just about the throne itself. Think about what I'm going to say to you. It's about who controls the room, who shapes the narrative, and who survives the fallout. Churches, like any other human institution, can't escape those types of dynamics. Now, what we're going to discuss tonight, we're going to talk about the alliances behind the scenes. We're going to talk about messaging and how reputations are shaped and how individuals sort of try and shape the outcome of the situation. We're going to talk about policies and contracts and how they're used like royal decrees in order to keep your loyal subjects in line. We're also going to talk about how removal of pastors and preachers can mirror the show's quiet coups and people having, their quiet conversations, okay? Now, I need for you to understand something tonight. This isn't gossip. This isn't character attacks. It's a look at systems and how leadership structures, bylaws, and communication strategies can echo the power plays we recognize from the hit show Game of Thrones. Now, if you've never seen Game of Thrones, I'm going to give you a brief synopsis here in a minute. We'll use publicly available information and focus in on the lessons and not necessarily the takedowns. Okay? All right. So let's get started. The Small Council. The Small Council was an organization that was put together by the king so that some folks might refer to it as a board. Small council is put together in order to advise the leader, and that is supposedly how decisions are made. But I want to tell you all something, and this is something that I have discussed with you all on this channel a million times. I know some of them ain't never heard of Westeros, but maybe they'll get an understanding here in a minute, because I'm gonna make it so plain, Moni, that they can't be silly. Okay, let me explain something to you. Let me explain something. Most churches in America have boards. A lot of them have boards, but those boards are really they are a prop or a tool made or given to the people to make the people assume that they have some sort of accountability factor. A lot of the boards that are in churches are in churches. They are constructed and they are put up to look a certain way. Jesus would refer to them as a prop or a tool. When Jesus said, "Go into all of the world and preach the gospel," the word world there that he used was the Greek word cosmos, is where we get the English word cosmetology or cosmetic. So when Jesus said, "Go into all of the world," he said, "Go into the cosmetic of things, the things that look or appear to be one way, but they're really something else." So most boards in a lot of these churches and 501c3s are simply props to make you assume that there is a legal, accountability factor for the pastor and those individuals who are in leadership. Can I tell you, ladies and gentlemen, just based on my work and my previous experience, that most of these boards are nothing more than shell situations. They're not legitimate boards, okay? They're not boards that are really there to hold the pastor accountable. Most of the boards that are there to do whatever the pastor wants them to do. If you do not do what the pastor wants you to do, you're going to be out. And if those of you that are familiar with Game of Thrones, you know that when the small council got out of whack or got out of line, somebody in the small council would typically they would be dead. They would end up dying because somebody would come and take care of them. Okay. Now, let me be very clear. Most of the churches, Levante Davis, that are run by a deacon board are typically Baptist churches. And I don't know if this is the case, Levante, but you can put this in the chat. If your church is Baptist, you can put that. But from my experience and all of the churches that I've worked with, the churches that are run by deacon boards or the chairman of the deacon board is typically those are Baptists in their structure. Okay. Now, most churches today in America are moving away from that kind of dynamic. I have tried to explain and express to those of you that follow this channel that you are in the age of the CEO pastor. And I will be talking to you more about that in the coming days again, because I want you all to understand the dynamics of what you're having to deal with. Exactly. I knew you were Baptist. I know, because I work with Baptist folks too. So let me be clear. Most of these boards are nothing more than shells. They are non-existent to hold the leadership accountable, nor are they there to make sure that the church is ran and structured in a proper way. The pastor puts together the board acquiesces to whatever the pastor says. Okay. Now that's the first thing. Now let's talk about the narrative of war. The narrative of war is that when certain things happen in the church, there goes a lot of behind the scenes movement and activity to shape the narrative of who's going to look a certain way to the public. Now, when Henry made his first initial statement to the public, most of you started jumping on Henry because you said, or jumping on me. Y'all said, "Oh, well, you're picking sides." That was the thing that I got. That's all I got. Oh, Marcellus, you're picking sides. You're picking sides. You can tell you like Henry because you said he had an impeccable reputation. Well, for the most part, some of you that have never heard of Henry Fernandez, you didn't know that Henry has a great reputation. Now, if you live in Florida, you would know that Henry has a great reputation. So you would know that, okay? But that's neither here nor there. But the narrative of war, and what's the war? The war is public opinion. Who's going to win the war of public opinion? That's how you get announcements made. That's how you get statements that are generated. And that is the battle for public perception. What most of you do not know, when Tudman went live the other night, he uploaded a video to his, I believe it was his Instagram, in the middle of the night. I received a call regarding some things in regards to this statement, and I knew the statement was coming. So for those of you that wanted to know, how did I do the thing that I did? And because I knew this stuff was coming 2 days prior to, wait a minute. You got, can you all please hit the like button? Please don't make me stop tonight. Y'all please hit the like button because I want to give you the information and I want to get out of here within 1 hour. I don't want to keep you all night. So can y'all please hit the like button? Because I only want to take about another 10, maybe 15 minutes on this part, and then we're going to talk about some other stuff. All right. I got a call and I was on the phone with another YouTuber at the time. And I was telling this YouTuber, that I had a story, but I wasn't going to break the story yet. I was just going to see what the other gentlemen were going to do. Well, when I hung up talking to this other YouTuber, the other YouTuber sent me back a text message and said, oh, well, this other YouTuber done already talked about it. Stick a pin there because I want all of us YouTubers and all of us vloggers to be very careful. I want us to be very careful because a lot of people are trying to control us in a sense and control our narrative and control the stories and how we present the stories. And whether you want to admit it or not, some people are trying to move us around like chess pieces as well. And vloggers and folks who give commentary are going to need sometimes to be a little bit more reserved in how we present this information and don't necessarily run to tell these stories, but to sit on this stuff sometime and let it naturally flow out instead of you coming out. Because I don't necessarily want to just be first with the story. I want to be accurate, but I also want you to grow from the stories coming forward. And I also want you to understand that Jesus plus nothing equals everything. Because this channel is dedicated to our forgotten brothers and sisters throughout the ages who stepped out of the safe bounds of institutional Christianity to tell the truth. That is what my channel is about. My channel is getting people to understand that you can stand up on your own spiritual 2 feet without being hooked to the IV of all of these systems and all of these other things. Okay, so let's go on. Now, when we talk about the letter of the law, that's the bylaws. Those are the boards, and these are how rules are invoked selectively or whether or not they're fairly done. That's the situation, ladies and gentlemen. Now, when you have exile versus being, you making an exit, how a pastor's removal is framed is very important to shaping the narrative in the country and shaping the way that people see certain things. Okay. Whether there is a restoration process, whether there is a discipline process, or whether it is it's almost like a political necessity for preachers to walk a fine line in order to handle these types of situations. Now, I know some of you get upset because I'm not getting into the mess or the weeds of this, but I'm doing this, ladies and gentlemen, because I'm trying to protect my daggum sources. Because you want to know the stuff, and I want to tell you the stuff. When I told you that primarily this is just simply ego, on both sides, we'll say on both sides. Somebody didn't abide by the contract. Therefore, there was a firing that happened. I tried to use John Gray and Ron Carpenter to get you to understand that dynamic, which I thought was a perfect example of this. The only difference is Ron Carpenter left and Henry stayed. But Henry also stayed because there were some contractual agreements and some preliminary things that were in place before there was going to be a complete turnover to Joel Tudman. And most charismatic churches or most charismatic leaders do not just turn their churches over. They sit there and they watch the pastor, how the pastor operates, how the pastor conducts himself, and then they gradually remove themselves. Now I need for you all to understand something. That guy Todd, what's the boy's name down there in Tulsa? Todd, what's the name? That's always Todd Mike Todd. Mike Todd, the little young guy. Mike Todd's church over there. Mike Todd is the pastor of the church by face, but there is a whole nother man and a whole nother group of people that actually run that church over there in Tulsa. So Mike Todd is over there doing all of the preaching and he's bringing in all of the crowds, but he doesn't make the decisions as it relates to the church, etc. There is a whole nother man who controls everything. I'm going to leave that alone for now. Although Joel was entitled the pastor, just so you understand the dynamic, Henry still ran everything. He had all of the power, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, so even though Joel had the title of pastor and was preaching every Sunday, Henry was the bishop or the overseer of the work. Okay. I'm going to stop right now because I've got 238 of you in here and I've got 71 likes. Ladies and gentlemen, please hit the like button. It is imperative that you hit the like button because I'm giving you good information. And I think, it is very respectful if you guys can please hit the like button. So please hit the like button.
Mad Church Disease, a channel that's all about current events, news, and Christian drama. A channel that's dedicated to our forgotten brothers and sisters throughout the ages. Our brothers and sisters who courageously stepped outside the safe bounds of institutional Christianity to tell the truth. A channel whose goal is to help the average person understand that Jesus plus nothing is everything. So comment, subscribe, and smash the notifications button to be a part of this channel.
Thank you, moderators, and please just keep me updated. I'm also the kind of channel you all, I just like to trust you guys to do what you normally do. And normally those of you that watch me, y'all hit the like button when you first come in. So I don't typically have that issue. But if you're new here, can you do me the awesome favor of hitting the like button? I would really appreciate it. All right. Now, here is the fallout from a pastor's exile or exit. You then have congregational mistrust or trust, depending on what side they fall on. You have giving issues because the giving changes, the money changes. Okay, normally the giving doesn't go up. Normally when those kind of situations happen, the giving goes down. You have a staff morale situation where the staff goes nuts. Okay, and then you also have a long-term reputation issue that takes you a very long time to recover or repair. Now let's talk about let's talk about a little bit about the reputation. I'm not looking in the chat specifically. If you guys have a question for me, just wait till I get to the question and answers and I'll be more than happy to answer your question. Sorry, you all. I told you all that at the beginning. I don't typically look in the chat. Every now and then I will glance and I do see your question. It looks like a great question, but I'm not going to stop because I want to make sure I keep my train of thought, etc. All right. So let's talk about long-term reputation for just a second. Number one, on both sides. First of all, Henry comes out and he makes this statement. The statement seems to be somewhat ambiguous. It doesn't really give you the meat of the situation. And it really sends people into an uproar. People get angry. People get mad because they feel like Henry should just come out and say what it is. Now, in my humble opinion, and just based on what I know, I think that Henry's statement should have said a little bit more, because I'll be honest with you, when I was given this information before the story broke, I told the people, I said, hey, I'm just, only thing I'm waiting for is to see Henry's response. And then after I see Henry's response, then I'll say something. So when Henry responded and the response was so ambiguous and it wasn't all that great, I was like, well, that didn't leave very much room for me to say nothing. I'm just gonna be honest. I was like, that was his response. And then y'all went off in the comment section. Y'all went crazy. Everybody went crazy. I said, oh, this ain't gonna be good. So then I said, okay. And then I went around the vlogs and I was listening and watching the vloggers talk about the thing. I mean, y'all throwing all kind of stuff out there. And I was like, oh my God. I said, and they were wrong. I did hear one guy get very, very close to the situation. He got very, very close. And I don't remember the name of that channel, but that guy got really close. And I said, I said, somebody must be talking to him, or he must, he got some information there. So then I said, okay, let me hush. And I got so frustrated with everybody saying this stuff and not really knowing what was wrong. I even called another content creator, I emailed him, and I said, hey, we need to talk, because one of the things I do is I really hate for vloggers to be out here saying stuff and it just don't be the right, accurate information. So I was like, oh man, how do I give this person a heads up on really what's going on here without telling them what's going on? But then again, I'm just like, okay, forget it, because y'all done made a mess of this whole situation. So I said, okay, let me calm down and let me reiterate some points to the people, because I felt like you guys deserve that. All right. So let's go here. If you ever wondered why some pastoral transitions feel like a royal shakeup, we're going to unpack what likely happened, what we can learn from it, and how churches can pursue truth and accountability without turning ministry into a battlefield. So the first thing that I'm going to say, if you have not yet hit the like button, please hit the like button. If you've not yet subscribed to this channel, make sure that you subscribe to the channel, and let's get into this, ladies and gentlemen. Let's talk about alliances from behind the scenes first. One of the things that have frustrated me with this situation is, being that I am a vlogger and I do have sources, when people come to me with certain things, normally I will try and respect both parties and keep keep the messiness out of it and just sort of tell people what's going on. I know some of you are upset because you want me to tell you the messiness of it, but I promise you, the bottom line to this is there were contracts signed, there were agreements made, those agreements were not kept, and therefore Henry said, your services are no longer needed. Now, how can I go a little bit further with this on tonight? Let me just put it in the vein of this. Let's say, for instance, John Gray took over Ron Carpenter's church. Let's say Ron Carpenter stayed and he didn't go away. Okay, let's say Ron Carpenter didn't go away. Let's say he stayed in the church. Let's say, for instance, that Ron Carpenter maintained a contractual agreement with John Gray. And let's say John Gray went about his business pastoring. He then had the title of pastor. They had celebrated him coming on as pastor, etc. But Ron Carpenter still retained the power. So he's got John Gray out here, much like Mike Todd, and he's the face of the church, but he really doesn't have the power. So what happens when John Gray understands that dynamic, even though John Gray signed the paperwork and agreed to the agreement? What happens when John Gray, how do I say this without, what happens if John Gray starts to do things or say things to Ron Carpenter that would create a red flag for Ron Carpenter, and certain things are being said to Ron Carpenter that would make Ron Carpenter second guess his decision? Now, many of you will say, well, Marcellus, Ron said that God told him to make John Gray the pastor. And to that, I would say, you know what, that's true. And I'll give you that. But sometimes there are certain things that you don't know about an individual, and it's kind of like when you're in a relationship. Uh, a lot of times you're in a relationship with a person, you don't know something about the person until you actually move in with them, until the person comes in and you guys have that symphony of a relationship, and you're trying to mend your lives together before you recognize, oh, wait a minute, this person got some issues here. Oh, wait a minute. I don't know if I like this stuff. The problem is, I don't like it when preachers and pastors come out here talking about God said that this is going to be this and this is going to be that. Instead of just telling y'all, I've made a business decision or an executive decision. We try to super spiritualize it and all of that kind of stuff. Now, let me just say this. God had changed his mind in the Bible. I'm just saying he did change his mind. So all of this whole idea that we have as church people that God can never change his mind, I'm sorry. He did change his mind in the scripture. Okay. He did change his mind in the scripture. I'll just put it to you that way. And so I'm gonna leave that alone for that. So we have this mindset that this is a God thing. This is an executive pastoral decision. And it is men who put men up. It is men who set men down. Trying to over spiritualize these things is part of the problem we get into with all of this kind of stuff, because we want to shape the narrative and we want to say this is something that God did. And I want to tell you, from me to you, ladies and gentlemen, we personally need to stop that. We have to stop that. Okay. So we have to stop that. Now, the messaging of how all of this came to you has been shaped and fashioned so that both parties can walk away without being accosted and without, all of the messy details coming forward. Okay. So let me just say this. Let me say it this way, because I y'all know I try to walk a certain way when it comes to this kind of stuff. Okay. So we got words from Pastor Joel Tudman. Pastor Joel Tudman came forward and he gave some words in regards to what happened to him. Even after the words came from Henry, Pastor Joel came forward and I want to play this for you all, and I want to have a conversation about it. Let me play this for you. So he comes forward with some words. Okay, let's remove this. And he gives us some words. And I want you to take a listen to what he actually says. And then I'm gonna talk a little bit more about this.
I hope you've had an amazing day today. I have a lot I want to say. Don't have a lot of time to say it. I did write it down because I wanted to make sure that everything that was in my heart, I'm able to get it out of my mouth to you, and that our time is effective. I'm aware of the conversations, the speculation, the debates that's going across all the social platforms and the blogging community. But I'm humbled by the love and the concern that you've shown me. And I'm equally grieved that the discussions have stirred division in the body of Christ, in the church itself. The world is watching, and when our church is divided, the witness of Christ is weakened. I want to make a simple but urgent appeal. Let's stop taking sides. Let's quiet the noise, resist the urge.
Now I wonder, would it make you think if somebody says, don't pick sides, quiet the noise, bring all of this down? Would that make y'all think that maybe the person that's trying to tell you to stop the noise and to quiet all of it down has made a resolve in their mind and in their heart and in their spirit about certain things, because they know what transpired between them? And so could it be possible that the person is trying to tell you, calm all that down because you don't know exactly what transpired. And I want you guys to calm down and don't pick a side. And not to pick a side because there really isn't a side to pick. I'm just saying.
To battle one another in the comments
I'm
and
gonna
return
be
back to the
nice.
heart. Christ with love, unity, and prayer. And many of you reached out to me personally and you're saying, how are you? How are your wife? How's your wife? Where are you? My wife and I, we're managing. My family, we're managing. We're here in South Florida and we're not going anywhere.
Pay attention. Did you hear what he said? He says, we're in South Florida and we're not going anywhere. Now, I want y'all to hear me and hear me very well. When I was talking to some preachers and some pastors behind the scenes of this situation, and we were having a conversation, you know what I told them? And some of y'all are going to be mad at what I'm about to say. I said, he need to start a church tomorrow. He need to start a church tomorrow. People say, oh my God, that's going to cause a church split. Let me explain something to y'all. First and foremost, apparently they're stating that 1,000 people have joined this church since Joel Tudman took over as the pastor. And for all of you that run around here talking about I'm picking sides, you're ignorant and you don't know me very well. So calm down and pay attention. I said Joel Tudman needs to start a church tomorrow because he'll have 1,000 folks or at least 600-700 people that can get over there to help him launch the ministry, and he can go from there because he's a dynamic speaker. People are going to flock to the ministry and to the church. Now, to some of you say, well, Marcellus, that's wrong. Now, there could be a situation where he has a non-compete clause in his contract. I don't know. Most churches don't put that in there. And even if they do, most preachers don't care. They just go right on with their life and their ministry. But he needs to start the church tomorrow. Because there's no way I would uproot my entire life, my entire family, and go over there and be in this kind of a situation. Now, what most of you may not know is that before Joel Tudman came to the Potter's house, he had a whole church before that. He had a whole church before that. Now, I'm not going to talk about that because I don't like the way that kind of went down, but I'm gonna leave that alone. But he had a whole church. So Joel Tudman is used to moving. He knows about how to move. We're gonna say that. So, but he need to start a church tomorrow. He's equipped to start a church. He knows how to do what he to do. And how do I say this? He's got great help and backup. Bishop T.D. Jakes is a father to him. And, Bishop T.D. Jakes knows how to move strategically in certain places and spaces. And I feel like he can get some good advice from Bishop Jakes as it relates to that. Now, some of you may not like that, but that's just how I feel about it. Joel Tudman needs to start a church tomorrow.
Unless the Lord says leave. As for now, I'm on my knees. And I'm on my knees praying to God daily, and it's his strength that is sustaining us. So I'm asking him for clarity about the direction regarding my next steps. When he makes his will clear, I promise you I'm going to tell you what God said. That's really all I'm focusing on right now. What do you want me to do next, God? As soon as God tells me, I'm going to tell you. So I'm going to remain faithful to my assignment. I'm a teacher of the gospel. And I want you to join me next Tuesday, September 9th, online at Joel Tubman Official. I'm going to talk then. I'm going to talk about the word. And we're going to be in prayer. We're going to lift the Savior up. So until then, let's just call it a truce. Let's step back from the arguments, the going back and forth, and let's just pray. Let's stay together. And I promise you, when God gives me what the next move is, I am going to tell you. So until then, I love you. From my family to yours, blessings.
Okay, here's the first thing. I need for people to stop saying until God tell me what the next move is, because a lot of times God ain't telling y'all nothing. Y'all are just making some decisions about y'all life, and then you're making a determination about what you want to do. And I think this is one of the reasons why the people get so lost, because they feel like God told y'all to do all of these things. So when y'all don't do what you say you're going to do, then they start questioning God and thinking that God is schizophrenic or that God has some sort of crazy mind problem. No, it's not God. It's men making decisions about how they're going to live their life and what they're going to do. Okay, pretty much bottom line. Okay, now here's what I want to say. He reads his statement to you, but I want you to understand, ladies and gentlemen, even in the statement that is being read to you, there are power plays being done here. Because I want you to understand something. It's never the men that you do see that are controlling the narrative. It's the men that you cannot see that are actually controlling the narrative. It's kind of like what the Bible talks about. The things that you see are made by the things that you cannot see. Some of the men that you see that are out in front of you, you all, are being controlled by men that you cannot see. And it is those men, oh Lord help me, that are controlling narratives, that are controlling decisions that are being made, that are making the statements, and that are trying to frame this entire situation. Do I believe that there were mistakes made in this situation on both sides? Kind of, yeah. I'll say yeah. But Henry is the one that holds all the cards, you all. He's the one that holds the cards. He's the one that holds the cards. And if somebody says certain things to me as the founding pastor of a ministry and have been having that ministry for over 30 years, it would be very, and you said certain things to me in a certain way. It would make it very difficult for me to tolerate that kind of behavior, especially coming from someone else who I'm trying to turn a ministry over to. That's why if you listen to Henry's sermon that he preached the very Sunday that the announcement was made, I believe it was that Sunday or the one from the one right after that, he kind of alluded to it in the sermon. But you all needed to be paying attention and to watch what he said. And I'll leave that there. Okay. So it causes a lot of fallout and a lot of mistrust from people. Now, I want you, if you're a vlogger, if you're a person out here in social media, I need you to understand something. Be very, very careful at who feeds you information and who gives you information, because a lot of times those people are actually trying to control the narrative as well. And so sometimes it's best for us to not say anything, or if you do know something, to let something process itself out before you come out here making all sorts of statements, because whether you know it or not, and I'm talking to myself too, somebody is trying to control you too. They're trying to control you too. And in order for me to stay independent and for me to be able to report these stories the way that they need to be reported, I cannot be controlled. I cannot be manipulated. I cannot have people bringing me information in a way to try to just get me to report it a certain way. I have to be honest about it. Okay. Now, I gave y'all the truth of this situation. I'm sorry. You folks want me to say other things, but I did. Now I'm going to go to your comments right now, real quick. And then I'll answer some of your questions or whatever. Because y'all know I normally drop the link, and I'll be dropping the link later. So I will go up. Somebody said, I think Joel wanted TD Jake. What? TD Jake's got the power, the money, and the respect, along with the huge mega church. Well, mega, he left the Potter's house because, of course, he knew that Sarah, and he understood what was going on. He saw the writing on the wall with that situation. I think we all saw the writing on the wall with that. Did Henry at least give Joel a care package upon his separation? Now, I'll be honest, if it depends on their contract, I don't know specifically the details of that, but I would hope Joel would be smart enough to have that inside of his contract, because that would be very, 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 very crucial. Somebody said, none of this makes sense. God is not the author of confusion. Why shut down your own ministry to join someone else when your ministry is doing well? I don't get it. Well, I think that some people, in order to get to the world stage and to get a certain type of notoriety and popularity, will sacrifice certain things. From what I understand, the way that the church was closed down, there was no new pastor given to the people. The doors were just closed. Moving right along. Here is a question that no one asked. Was there not any ministers in Fernandez's church that could transition to be the next pastor or run the church? Why did he have to go outside the church? Well, Tanisha, I think that's a very fair question. And here's the answer. Charisma. Charisma. You have to be able to fill those seats. You have to be able to make sure that the ministry can be sustained offering wise. So you have to get somebody in there that's going to be able to fill the seats, and it's going to have to make sure that the money stays flowing. Keep in mind, ladies and gentlemen, this is a business. And I know y'all get so upset with me when I try to explain all of this to y'all. Church in America is a business. Do you not think that New Birth went and got Jamal because Jamal couldn't fill the seat or Jamal couldn't keep the offering coming? New Birth went and got Jamal because Jamal was going to be able to get them out of debt. They were millions of dollars in debt, and Jamal was going to be able to keep the church and to keep the doors open. That's why Jamal is over there. That's why Jamal over there. I'm just saying. That's why he's over there. I'm going up so I can see what kind of comments y'all got up here. Somebody said, I can't believe that man did that. Invite all them people out to this man's installation just to state official clergy and everything. Why? Well, that's how church is done business wise. That's how it's done. Sorry, I don't know. I guess I'm giving y'all some information. Well, I try to give y'all the information and tell y'all the truth. I'm the only person over here that's going to tell y'all the daggone truth. That's how it's run. And it's, I know it sounds crazy and stupid, but that's just how it run. That's how it's run. Well, let me tell you something. Let me tell y'all something. I'm gonna be real honest. Joel Tudman needs to start a church tomorrow, but I'm gonna tell y'all something here that I feel like too. If you're a pastor who's gonna turn over a church, turn over the church and leave. Just go about your business, because how another person's leadership style and how another person runs their ministry and runs their stuff is always going to clash with whatever you had going on before you invited them. It's always going to be a clash. It's always going to be a clash. Now, some people are saying that some of this stuff, is happening to him because of a sermon that he preached. Now, I can definitely tell you, when you use words like this, you're going to have a problem with a lot of church folk.
Was to have sex. That was a part of worship. Kind of sound like our churches today. It was a part of worship. Kind of sound like our churches today. We got temple whores and temple whoremongers. Yeah. And the reason why I can say it, because I used to do it. I don't have no problem saying it. Okay? So don't sit up there and act like you don't know what I'm talking about. I'm talking about that demonic spirit that sits in the church looking for the next one to pick off. Look at somebody and tell them, you play too much. You play too much. Play too much. Eat, sleep, and play. Look at the cycle. Eat.
All right, now I want y'all to hear what I'm saying, because I want to address something. Uh-oh, y'all can't hear me. Wait. Hold on. I want to address this comment. Juanetta, let me tell you something. This is going to come as a shock. I'm so sorry to have to hit y'all with all of this stuff. Do you know why you put 60 people on ministerial staff at a church? You know why you do that? So they won't leave and they'll still get their money. And everybody over there wearing collars. Everybody got on a collar. I remember when I went back to visit Church of the Harvest when I left Clarence McClendon's ministry, I went over there and I saw that all them people, or everybody in the whole congregation almost had on a collar. And I said, well, now you done made everybody in here minister high. I know some of these people, and I know some of these people are not ministers, but you do it because you're trying to get the money and you're trying to make sure that they won't leave the ministry because the numbers is dwindling. Because up until that point of Joel coming to the ministry, of course, they were losing membership, but I'm just trying to give you guys the honest truth of what the situation is. That's the truth of Juanetta. And a lot of them ministers over there, they can't carry a church. Some of them don't even have the skills. They could be listed on the website, but that doesn't necessarily mean that they have the preaching skills nor the intellectual capacity to carry a ministry. I mean, come on, you all. I'm just saying. Yeah, I would have turned the church over and left. That would have been me. I would have turned it. Well, I mean, where else should you go? You need people in a relaxed state so that they'll give money. Listen here, Christine, I'm trying to stick to the facts so that I don't get into the mess of this. Cause when I don't have my notes, I just free flow. And next thing you know, I done said something I ain't had no business saying. So I'm trying to stick to the notes that I have for myself. Cause I prayed about this. I really did pray about this. And I'm trying to tell y'all it's the truth. And they could just be as bad as they want to be. Now listen, they can be mad as I'm telling y'all, it's something as simple as somebody not abiding by the contract. I know you want it to be messy and there is some more stuff to it. Attitudes, ego, people talking to each other crazy. There's a whole bunch of other stuff, but you're never going to hear that stuff. They're never going to come out here and talk about that stuff. They're never going to talk about that. And I'm not either. I'm going to leave it alone. But just understand there's ego, people talking to each other crazy. And can you imagine you supposed to be the pastor of a church or founder of a church, and you had to go back and forth and y'all arguing back and forth, and people say, well, he ain't even been there that long. Exactly. Somebody in the dynamic has to humble themselves no matter what. Somebody's got to humble themselves, you all. Somebody always has to humble themselves. Here we go. So the man of God, it's the hypocrisy for me. So the man of God was out here loose the street, but now it's a demonic spirit. That's all of them. You know how they get when they get super saved. Y'all know how it gets. Heavenly Dove, I'm going to read some of your comments. This is why he should have been vetted better. He should have done sermons before him. Okay, let me explain another dynamic to this. Let me throw something at y'all. Henry's church is a word of faith church. Henry comes out of the word of faith movement. Okay. That would have been the movement like the Kenneth Hagins, the Creflo Dollars, the Jesse Duplantis. Henry comes from the word of faith movement. Okay. Joel Tudman does not come from the word of faith movement. So when he's being acclimated into this church and in this congregation, it is a different group of people, right? If you don't understand how word of faith churches or the word of faith movement moved or operated, you have to understand that they are very hands-on when it comes to turning over ministries and relinquishing ministries and all of that kind of stuff, Heavenly Dove. So it can get really interesting. I'm just going to put it to you like that. And that's why I said contracts and bylaws and things of that nature come into play, and they are sticking to those things. Okay. And you would think that somebody who has not had the reins turned over to them fully would walk in a way that would be conducive to them actually finalizing and getting things the way that they would like to have things. In other words, you don't go to your job, you don't talk crazy to your boss, you don't say certain things because that's going to backfire. If you work at the McDonald's, you can't tell the McDonald's people that the fries don't go on the left, that you need to put the fries on the right, because they already have a system and they got some things in place. Now, when you get the church turned over to you, then you can make those types of decisions. But in the beginning, you can't do that. I want y'all to go into any McDonald's tomorrow and look on your left. The fries will always be on the left. You're never going to go into a McDonald's and the fries is going to be on the right. Moving right along. And he does. I think I would start a church tomorrow. I ain't lying. I'd start a church tomorrow. I'd start a church. That wasn't his last sermon. No, that wasn't the last sermon. That wasn't the last one. Well, I'm trying to stay within the bounds here, because I don't want the people that have given me the information to have backlash. But it really is very simple, you guys. It's not as complex as everybody's trying to make it. Well, when you're Pentecostal, you can do that. When you're Pentecostal. Did you go to the church? Was you there? Was you up in there for 4.5 hours? Because I wouldn't have done that. And they both said that because they don't want to go back and forth, because if they go back and forth, then they'd have to come out here and tell y'all what it was. And this is going to be the last video that I make on this, just so y'all know, because this is just so that I don't put myself and my sources in any danger. Because I have the tendency to run off at the mouth, and I don't want to get nobody in no trouble. So this is the last video. I'm trying to tell y'all, and everything that I done seen and heard on the internet has been false. Except that one guy. He had on like a skull cap, a blue skull cap. He was on it. Whoever that fellow was. That fellow with the skull cap, he was going there. And I don't know if the Holy Ghost revealed that to him, but let me tell you, or somebody else, but he was on it. That young man was on it, and I didn't even say nothing. That young man was on it. No, ma'am. No, ma'am. Yeah, no, ma'am. I love the fact that Moni be in here. Moni be like, I don't get none of these people. Yeah, that could be true, but like I just said, be woke, they acclimating into a ministry like that you're unfamiliar with. It can be interesting. I'm gonna tell you that. It could be interesting. I'm gonna drop the link, so if anybody wants to come up later and talk to me or ask me any question about this, y'all can, and I'm gonna leave it alone. All right, let's go to this idiot before I lose my mind. Let's talk about David E. Taylor. And I'm going to be talking to you guys a little bit more about this story in the next coming days. And I want to dive a little bit more deeper into the CEO aspect of church, because it has a lot to do with the Joel Tudman and Henry Fernandez situation as well. I want y'all to hear me. Your idea of what you think church is in America is absolutely unequivocally false. The very same things that this man right here is in jail for, a lot of pastors are doing. They're using the 501c3 in a way that is, if the government ever decided to put the hammer down on a lot of these guys, they're going to go to jail, right? Because a lot of these guys are not structuring these things properly, and they're using free labor, and they're doing a lot of things that are flat out illegal. If you have followed this channel for any length of time, I have talked to you guys significantly about the CEO pastor and how churches run in America. I'm sorry to bust people's bubble, but you all are under an illusion. You really have an illusion of what you think church is, and I'm sorry to tell you, your illusion is false. You think because they call you a member that you actually have some sort of privilege, because they tell you that membership has its privileges. No, they don't. No, it don't. Most of you really do not understand this. The very reason that this man is in jail right now, outside of the giving the women pills, there are so many preachers in America that are doing the exact same thing that David E. Taylor was doing. The exact same thing. They are buying cars. They're buying Rolls Royces with your money. They are buying multiple homes and mansions. Let's look at the preachers of LA. When Clarence showed up at over there at Adams Foursquare, he didn't have no mansion. He didn't have all of these things. He came from Pasadena because some church in Pasadena had run him away. And then they come to the church, and the next thing you know, once the church starts to become successful, you know, the limousines are picking them up to take them from the church to the airport. So then we have this whole thing where, you know, they go from rags to riches, and they start using the money and doing all sorts of things. And most people do not understand the dynamic of how churches run and how they use their corporate credit cards, and they use all of these things in order for them to exist. And people say, well, Marcella's not my pastor because we don't have a mega ministry. Well, guess what? Your pastor is using the same laws, and he's using the same things to buy his Cadillac and to buy his Honda and his Hyundai. He's just not doing, he can't do it on the scale and the level that these other folks can do it, but he's doing the exact same thing. He's just doing it on a smaller scale. Okay? He's doing it. Now, I'm going to just simply tell you all this, and I'm going to get into this story a lot more later. But this is what took him down. This whole deposition is what put him on the radar in America. Paying $4,000 and $5,000 for a Louis Vuitton belt. Your pastor, some of these mega churches are doing the same thing. I remember seeing a video of Jamal Bryant getting out of a helicopter, and the helicopter panned his whole outfit, went from his shoes up to his outfit, and his shoes was his socks was Gucci or Versace. You all, the same thing that these other people doing and using this 501c3 is the same thing that most preachers are doing. They're just doing it on a smaller scale. They're doing it on a smaller scale. Now, what this man was able to do was he was able to create an infrastructure, kind of like that woman did with the Way Down Network, the white lady with the big hair. Sorry, I can't remember her name right now. For some of you may not know who I'm talking about. Y'all remember the woman over there in Brentwood, Tennessee, that had the cult, that died in the plane crash, and they made a Netflix special about her? Y'all remember her? Somebody tell me what her name was. I done forgot her name already. I forget more stories. But that lady, Gwen Shamblin built a whole infrastructure. Do you not understand that that's what this was? When David E. Taylor built that building, and he had these buildings, it was to build his own infrastructure so he could create his own church and his own ministry, so he didn't have to go out looking for anybody. Once you went into his ministry, and once that you went in there, he had you in there. Now look at these chairs that the people are sitting in. Can y'all see the chairs that they sitting in? Look at the chair, the back of the chair. Can y'all see the back of these chairs here? I don't know if you can see it right there, where the lady with the white with her hand up. Look at her chair. Those are like hotel chairs. It's just hotel chairs that they probably got from a hotel sale. But they build these infrastructures for these ministries. And then what funds the ministry? The television. That's why he goes on television, because he knows there's a bunch of money on TV. And then you guessed it, the books, the tapes, and all of these kind of things. And I refer to it a lot of time as Jesus junk. And y'all remember one time I referred to it as Jesus junk, and Bernard Jordan got mad at me because I said it was Jesus junk. You know, I was thinking the other day, everybody's making money off Jesus but Jesus. Lord have mercy. Could you imagine the kind of chariot Jesus would have been able to ride in if he would have profited off of his stuff the way that these people have profited off him, off Jesus? I mean, it's ridiculous. But the infrastructure was built, ladies and gentlemen. The infrastructure was built. And I'm going to talk a little bit more about the CEO, pastor, a little bit more. And we're going to talk about the 501c3. We're going to revisit that again, because I feel like you guys need to understand that and really grasp it and understand. They built an infrastructure. Once the infrastructure was built, who was going to put, nobody could have put David E. Taylor out of business except the government. No one. Believe it or not, most of your pastors and preachers that are using this CEO model of church, nobody can put them out. Nobody can hold them accountable. Look at Brian Carn. Who's holding Brian Carn accountable? That man can sleep with everything moving, and there's no accountability. None. Now, if you're in a Baptist denomination or you're in a denomination, a lot of times the denominations can come and crack down on you. But a lot of them have also gotten away from that thing, because y'all got to keep in mind, G.E. Patterson left the Church of God in Christ at one point in time. He left. Now, he came back, but he did leave. And he was quite successful when he left. He didn't really need Kojic. If I'm going to be honest, he probably longed to be within that Kojic situation, but he was gone. GE left. I'm just saying. And we have these work concepts in our mind about the institutional church. And we like to think that, a lot of this stuff that's going on is God. No, a lot of this stuff that's going on is your pastor and these leaders. It has nothing to do with God. Shout out to all of you in the chat. Please make sure that you hit the like button. Please make sure you hit the like button. And let me just say this. I'm fine with you if you want to go to a physical church or physical building. That's fine. I'm not saying that you shouldn't do that. I'm long past that kind of stuff. I've moved past that. You understand? If that's what you all want to do, that's fine. But just understand something. When you go into those churches, and I just say businesses, you are at the whim of the CEO. The CEO pastor determines and dictates what goes on in the church. For the most part, most of you have no say. So if the pastor tells you something and you don't agree with it, you got one or two choices. You can either acquiesce and do what he says, or you can pack up and leave, because you don't get to determine what goes on in most of these churches. You don't have no say, and y'all need to understand that. Now, I pinned the link. The link is at the top of the screen there. For those of you that have a question, or you have something to say, or you want to parse this out, you're more than welcome to hit the link. Notice I don't beg and I don't stay too long. Yeah, he left. I know people forget that. He left. GE left. He came back. And I think he probably came back because Charles Blake and some of his friends and who had been there, they understood that eventually that they would be, they would be in leadership. Sean Talks, you got me laughing to my conference chairs. Yes, exactly. Cheap conference chairs. But if you heard the way that this man was speaking to his staff and speaking to these people, come on, had no love, no grace, nothing. But when the cameras come on, he want to. Oh, I just like Brian Carn. Brian Carn killed me when. Oh, I just love everybody. Hello, brother. I just love everybody. But when he cussing and fussing you out, he's screaming at the top of his lung. I'm just saying. You understand what I'm saying? So it really is very simple when it comes to Joel and Henry. It ain't that deep. And some of you, if you heard it, you'd be like, that's all? Y'all gonna be like, because even if somebody come out and tell y'all gonna be like, that's the reason? That's what y'all gonna say. Yes, and it is. It's stupid. I'm just gonna say it. I'm just gonna say it like that. It's dumb. It's stupid. It really is petty. It's petty. It's so super petty. Y'all, it's petty. It is petty, 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 petty. It's stupid. But I understand it because there were agreements made and, people should have stuck to the agreement. Well, I can't believe they took it off the air. If he's paying for it, they shouldn't take well, maybe they have some sort of moral clause in the contract. Maybe they got a moral clause. That could be possible. That could be possible. But it's so stupid, you all. It ain't even worth y'all typing on the internet and arguing with people about. I swear to you, it's not. It's so dumb. Nobody gets to go to their job and talk to their boss like they crazy. Yeah, I saw that darn Vicky Yowie stuff. I did. But see, here's the thing. And that's why I've been keeping to myself. Because everybody's an opportunist in this situation. Nobody in this whole situation is innocent. I'm just saying. Nobody's innocent in this situation. Nobody's innocent. Vicky knew what she was getting into when she got into it. Vicky over here singing gospel music and sleeping with David E. Taylor and coming out to the people talking about living a holy and a righteous life. How does that work, Daryl? How's that work? When she was singing Jehovah Jireh, he's going to provide all my needs. I guess he was. And I guess he was definitely providing all her needs. I'm not buying Vicky Yowie's mess. I'm so sorry. I'm just not. I'm so sorry. Let me just be honest. I'm just not. Vicky need to go somewhere and sit all the way down. With me anyway. Because you knew what it was. You went in there with your eyes open. You didn't go in there with your eyes closed. And all of the racist things that this woman done said, I can't. I just can't. Now, Regina, I'm going to be honest with you, Regina. I'm trying to give these people the truth without getting messy. And I know they're going to fight with me and argue with me and say, I should have kept all of this to myself. And well, I've given you more than you actually these other folks are going to give you. I'm going to tell you that now. Go back and listen to Henry's sermon from that Sunday. Go back and listen to it. I think Regina even talked about it today on her program. Go back. Y'all go back and you listen to it. Regina over there at the Juice Radio and Talk Show, she actually, go back and listen to Regina. And let me just say this, Regina, we vloggers have to honestly, the one part that I said earlier, we have to watch ourselves from being manipulated by some of these preachers and people that are more well known, because they definitely are trying to cajole and manipulate vloggers. Can I get to at least 200 likes? I got almost, I had 356 of y'all in here. Can I get to at least 200 likes, please? I would appreciate it. I'm just saying, Regina. I'm just saying, Regina. And I'm watching some stuff, Regina. I'm watching some moves that people are making. And I'm like, oh, I see you. I see you. I see exactly what's being done. And that's why it's so important to be spiritual and to be paying attention. The Bible says we got to watch and pray. Don't be stupid. Vloggers, don't be dumb. Don't just take a person because they're well known and let them sort of control the narrative and control the situation. Now, I'm going to wait to see what Joel says on next Tuesday, if he addresses anything or he says anything. And then I'm going to wait to see if Henry says anything. I don't sense either one of these guys coming out here and giving y'all any more information. Because if they do, the spot's going to blow up. And then y'all going to definitely pick some sides, which you already have done. Because y'all done made Henry the devil. I don't know why and how that could be. And then some of y'all done made Joel the devil. I don't know how that could be. When both of the men just said, hey, back off. Look, let's come to a truce. Me and my family, we're making it. You understand what I'm saying? They got to do the best they can. Just like if you lose your job, you got to do the best you can, right? You got to figure some stuff out, right? I'm telling Joel Tudman to start a church tomorrow. As I'm saying it, you should already be setting it up. I don't know what's wrong with you. I just start a church tomorrow in Florida. I'm not going to uproot my family again. Well, you know what's going to happen, Regina. If he does that, the people are going to be incensed. They're going to be so mad. Because they so mad that people not telling them the whole messy details. But I done gave y'all the darn truth. I done gave you the truth. And I think there's a couple of people that understand what it is. And the preachers that I've had conversations with across the country, folks know what's going on. They know what's going on. They know what's going on. It is what it is. It absolutely. Now, you guys make sure that you guys hit the like button on this situation. Y'all make sure y'all hit the like button. If anybody is going to come up, I'm going to give you a moment because normally I don't go this long. I try to stick around about an hour. Betty Yellick, thank you so much for being on it. Let me get David E. Taylor off my screen. Lord Jesus. Lord Jesus. Let me get David E. Taylor. And let me just tell you something. David E. Taylor is he's not getting out of jail. Him or Michelle Brennan. Hey Leah, good to see you. Hey Leah. Oh Lord have mercy. Leah, do you think Vicky Yowie went into that situation with I know what you're gonna say, with David E. Taylor with her eyes closed? Because I don't think so. I think her eyes was wide open. Let me tell you the strategy. Let me tell y'all the strategy. I told you I'm not new to this. I'm true to it. I guarantee you within about 3 to 4 months, Joel will have at least 1,000 to 1,500 people coming to see him every Sunday. If he can get into a decent venue, maybe a local pastor or church will let him come in there, Regina, and start his services. According to them, 1,000 people joined the church when he took over. That's 1,000 people who said they wanted Joel Tudman to be their pastor. I'm just saying. He's a dynamic speaker. He can build a church. But I think because of his gifting and how gifted he is, people really want to give him the best launching and springboard in order for him to launch. Oh, but I'm about to be y'all. I'm gonna make y'all real mad now. Sarah and what's the man's name? Toure. Sarah and Toure, have never been really great pastors. They've ruined 2 churches. I don't know why people, I don't understand why that's never talked about. Y'all do realize the church in Colorado went boop. The church in LA went boop. And the church in LA is being pastored by a woman that I listen to every Sunday. I just can't remember the lady's name. She's a therapist. She's phenomenal, by the way. That lady who took over one church in LA, she comes out of the Potter's house too. She is phenomenal. I don't think a lot of people talk a lot about her, but that woman is really good. I like listening to her now. I'm not going to lie. Now, that's one preacher I've gotten, I really started to listen to. Okay. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. You know, this whole Vicky Yowie thing, people trying to act like Vicky's such a victim. I'd be like, y'all just don't know Vicky Yowie. I'm like, Vicky Yowie is an opportunist. And when it didn't work out the way she wanted it to work out, then she got mad. It's crazy. Dr. Anita Phillips, that's her name. You are correct. Andrea, she is phenomenal. I really like her. I really like her. I really, truly do. And if you all don't know about One Church LA, the church that Dr. Anita Phillips is pastoring, you all, as a matter of fact, I might just go and visit her, because I actually love her ministry. I think she is phenomenal. And if y'all never heard of her, y'all need to go find out about her. She's phenomenal. She's really phenomenal. I like her. Sarah was chosen because she is in the family. And he wasn't going to leave that to no Joel Tudman. That's why he chose him. And everybody knows Tudor is going on for the ride, but we all know who the real pastor of the Potter's house is. It ain't no Touré. And see, that's the thing. I don't play those types of games. Let's not play. We all know who the pastor of the church is. Have you ever heard David E. Taylor try to sing? Hilarious. Trying to pretend like he was Benny Hinn. It was disgusting. Oh. If you don't have a membership to my channel, I interviewed one of the gentlemen who did a lot of the commercials for David E. Taylor Ministries. Do y'all know all of them crutches and all of that, and all of them wheelchairs and all of that stuff? That was all props. The people in the video department said, well, can you send us some video of people getting up out of the wheelchairs and getting off of the crutches? Do y'all know David E. Taylor could never send them any video of anybody being healed in the ministry? Also, if you buy a membership, you'll get to see one of these YouTubers curse me out. The YouTuber cursed me out. Said I'm a Johnny come lately. I just started talking about David E. Taylor last week. And they don't realize I've been talking about David E. Taylor for, 14 years. Long time. I even got videos that now Facebook, because of the situation, Facebook done put back into the algorithm. Some of y'all leaving comments on a video from like 9 years ago. And I was like, well, how's this coming back? And people is leaving comments on the video. And I was like, oh man, but it's on my Facebook page. Y'all don't remember the time David E. Taylor went off on Juanita Bynum? I got that. It's on my Facebook page. Y'all need to go look it up. It's there. It's on there. Yeah, he's always a liar, Leah. He's always been a liar. Yeah. Yeah. I love Dr. Anita. She's wonderful. Y'all can tell her I said it. She is phenomenal. Now I could go sit down and listen to her. Now I ain't gonna lie. I did interview the man. Y'all need to go. It's in my membership. Y'all need to go, because I interviewed the man that did the graphics and the stuff. Y'all need to go in there. It's in there. I'm just trying to tell y'all, I don't have to make stuff up on people. I don't need to do that. Oh yeah. I got cussed out, y'all. Oh, the man lit into me so tough. Oh, I'm sick of you Christian vloggers. Y'all just get here late. We've been doing all of this work for the last 5 years. He didn't even know I'd been around longer than that. I'm not saying that some of these people that when it comes to Benny Hinn, that some of these people could not have gotten healed. Some of those people could have gotten healed. I'm not saying it not. I just know that a lot of the stuff that we do in the institutional church is foolishness. I know that. And I'm trying to tell you the structure and how things are done. It's a game of thrones in the church. It's a game of thrones. That so-called small council, that so-called board and all that foolishness, that's set up by the pastor. And go ahead, let the board go against the pastor and see how long they be on the board. You understand what I'm saying? Go ahead and do that and see what's going to happen to you. But I did 2 interviews. I also believe that one of my friends actually was about to be caught up into that David E. Taylor mess because he had an EBT church kind of scam thing. That blew me out of the water. I mean, I had 2 interviews back to back in the same day. Let me tell y'all something. My head was about to explode. I could not believe the stuff that I was hearing. I never heard of this stuff. You give your pastor an EBT card. And I had a personal friend of mine actually tell his story in the private membership. That's crazy. That's absolutely nuts. Oh man, I used to love that movie by Steve Martin. You know who was in that movie? All the gospel artists. LaShawn Pace Rhodes was in that movie. Ricky Diller was in that movie. Are you ready for a miracle? Ready as I can be. Y'all remember he had on that little shiny, that little shiny. And he went. I love Steve Martin. Steve Martin went shouting around, "Oh, you're gonna be healed today." You know, and we just playing games. We just playing. The Bible says that these signs shall follow them that believe. You know, as I get ready to close tonight, let me say this. Do you really believe the word? Do you really believe the authority that the scripture gives and has placed in your hand? Do you really believe that you could lay hands on the sick and see people recover? Do you really believe that? Because if you don't really believe that, that's why you don't see that. That the difference between folks that get a result versus people who don't get a result is the fact that we actually believe the word and we believe what we say. That's why the Bible says, when you believe, you shall receive the things that you say. So if you believe it, you can receive. You can lay hands sometimes on your own self and tell and command your body. Okay, well, Daryl, you can come up. You got the link because I won't be live until next Thursday. So unless I get more support on the program, because I'm not going live every day like I was before. Um, You're welcome to come up because this is y'all day. This is your day. This is your day because I ain't going live no more. This is your day, your day, your day. Y'all better come up here. I ain't lying. And if you want to support the program, please feel free to do so, you guys. Because this is how I'm able to make these lives and keep coming live, is because of you guys' support. So make sure y'all support the program. Cash App information is on the screen. That information is on there for you. Somebody, what Leah say? Don't they see the signs of arrest in this job offices for EBT fraud? Oh my God. Can you imagine, Leah, giving your EBT card to a pastor and then the pastor telling you you're going to have soup and salad for dinner, or that he ain't going to feed you at all? He going to take your EBT card and not feed you. It's in your name, and tell you can't eat nothing. I'm too black for that. I'm too black for that. I'm too much from the projects for that. From the hood. I can't allow anybody to do that to me. I'm just saying. Okay, well, go on your date. Enjoy your date. I don't have, if any members want to reach out to me, they're welcome to. I'll let them come up and say their piece. They can. And then, hey, who knows what might happen? That's all I can say. Who knows what might happen? Because y'all know how I am. And I have to stick to my script. Because if I don't stick to my script, everybody, I get in trouble. And everybody knows I get in trouble if I don't stick to my script. Okay? So I have to stick to my script, because if I don't stick to my script, I get in trouble. But I really did tell y'all, I gave y'all the information. I really did give y'all the information. And I'm sorry. I think everybody in this situation has some ego. I'm not picking sides. I just know Henry's ministry longer than I know Joel Tudman's ministry. So I'm sorry. I just know Henry has always been a person of an enormous amount of integrity. So I can't really speak for that. I can't, and I don't know Joel like that, so I can't really speak. But he's a great speaker, great preacher. You know, I mean, I can't really talk about Joel like that because I don't really know. Now I do know some things, but I ain't. You know, I'm not one of those kind of people. I'm not one of those kind of vloggers. Now, if I have to come out here and tell y'all something, I will, because somebody out here telling a lie. Then I have to come out here and draw them out and say, hey, you know, you need to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth, so help you God. But that's the situation. That really is the situation. I use John Gray and Ron Carpenter to explain to you something. It was the greatest example. I swear it was, y'all. Oh, Jesus, give me a break. That's just like them people talking about, they saw Juanita Bynum talking about she saw Jesus on Jamal Bryant's wall that time. Y'all remember that? I'm so sick of these people. I don't play them. It's a lot of mental illness running through the institutional church. It's a lot of mental illness. It really is a lot of mental illness. Oh, Lord have mercy. I don't have nothing more to say. All I'm going to tell y'all is please hit the like button. Make sure you subscribe to the channel if you haven't subscribed to the channel. And guess what? Make sure you come and visit me on Sunday at 2 p.m. in the afternoon for All About Sundays. I'll hit on a little bit of this stuff, and we'll have some prayer, and I'll put some Bible to it, and we'll have a great conversation. Thanks everyone for watching. Your support means the world to us. Please make sure that you hit the like button, and please make sure that you subscribe to the channel, and make sure you hit the bell icon, and make sure you press all notifications so that way you will never miss any of the exclusive content that comes on my channel. Make sure that you never miss a video. Now, I try to go live every day about 2:30 Pacific Standard Time, which is about 5:30 Eastern Standard Time. And then I come back at night at around 8:30 Pacific Standard Time, which is about 10:30 Eastern Standard, with some more exclusive content. So if you want more Mad Church Disease show content, we'd love for you to become a member, a revolutionary member of our channel. Please make sure that you hit the join button that's right next to the subscribe button or somewhere around here, so that you guys can receive access to special community posts. You guys get all of the access to my community only lives, because we've got some sipping chats that we're going to be doing, and you guys will get exclusive content. So just make sure that you head on over to the channel page, click on the join button, and make sure that you do that. Thanks again for watching. I appreciate your love and support, and I'll see you on my very next video.
We are Mad Church Disease, helping you understand that Jesus plus nothing is everything. This is a show for everyone, believers and non-believers, from churched to the unchurched. Help us grow the channel by supporting our non-profit causes and create more consistent content. Donate by Cash App or PayPal, or buy us a coffee at buymeacoffee.com.